Hello AAC Universe and welcome to History of. I'm your host and resident superhero nerd Aaron Waller, and this is the series where we do a deep dive of various comic book characters, both heroes and villains, and give a little bit more insight as to who they are and why they do what they do. And today is Batman Day. Well, at least it is as of the posting of this video. If you're watching it later, maybe not anymore, but today, September 18th, is Batman Day, so I'm super excited because Batman is my favorite comic book character. But we've seen Batman's story about 50 million times at this point. The guy's been around since like 1937 for the past 80 or so years, so we already know his origin back to front. We've seen it in animated versions, we've seen it in live action versions, you name it, we've probably seen it. So I figured, why not just go ahead and skip that for now? Instead, let's shed some light on my favorite Batman villain of all time, and that's the Riddler. The Riddler was created by Bill Finger and Dick Sprang and first appeared in Detective Comics number 140 in 1948. The Riddler's backstory tends to be a bit vague, but largely some of the details tend to remain the same from story to story. Edward Nygma, also known as Edward E. Nygma or Edward Nashton, endured child abuse growing up, especially from his father. Whenever little Edward would get a high score on a test, his father would beat him out of envy and believe Edward cheated. This drove Edward to have a strong desire to tell the truth and prove he was innocent and truly was intelligent, thus his yearning to form riddles. As he grew older, he would begin to seek attention and open a carnival booth involving, you guessed it, puzzles. And of course he rigged the puzzles in advance to always ensure he would win and the customer would never win the prize. This would eventually become a not so lucrative venture for Edward, and he would have to move on to a life of crime, once again using puzzles to outsmart the law. He would wear a green costume with question marks, often accompanied with a purple domino mask, and take up the name the Riddler. And it's here he would find early success, but Batman would soon be on to him and evade capture. It wasn't until he left a final riddle of why is corn so hard to escape from that Batman deduces the answer is maze, M-A-I-Z-E, which sounds a lot like maze, M-A-Z-E, and tracks the Riddler to a complex maze filled with death traps, one of which being a hidden bomb that goes off. Batman's able to evade the explosion, but this knocks the Riddler off of a pier and he falls to his supposed death. Of course, he would return a few months later and return to his life of crime both in and around Gotham City. He's eventually put into Arkham by Batman and Robin after a failed escape at the Gotham Museum. But being in Arkham gives a lot of time for him to think and devise his next plan for Batman's attention. Once on parole, the Riddler would once again concoct an elaborate set of riddles for Batman, and he would be apprehended by him with a flawless pearl, but in a shocking twist, the Riddler rightfully purchased it. He again did this at an art gallery, stealing another artifact to which he actually inherited from his uncle. Seems like he just likes the thrill of the chase. The Riddler would of course go on to do various other thieving and various puzzles and riddles, but it wouldn't be until 2002's Hush storyline that he would be revealed to have terminal cancer. Unbeknownst to Ra's al Ghul, he would use his Lazarus pit to cure himself of the disease and team up with Hush, aka Thomas Elliot, and pit Batman's most dangerous foes and even a friend against him. He would even be revealed to be pulling a majority of the strings that tormented Batman through the story. He will learn Batman's true identity and even send Clayface to impersonate Jason Todd. And if you want more on Jason Todd, go ahead and click the eye in the corner. We have a whole video dedicated to Jason Todd as the Red Hood. Once Batman's able to take down his rogues gallery and get a bit closer to the Riddler, he's threatened by Batman that if he reveals his identity as Bruce Wayne, he would tell Ra's al Ghul he used the Lazarus Pit and stick the League of Assassins after him. Once DC rebooted with the New 52, Riddler would take up a new look in Batman number 1 and sport a green mohawk shaped like a question mark. He appears here as more of a sadistic murderer who tortures his victims with riddles that he falsely claims will save them if they answer correctly. Very Saw meets Zodiac Killer vibes. He eventually helps the Joker get out of jail and appears as the main villain in the 0 Year storyline. When DC rebooted again with DC Rebirth in 2016, Riddler would once again return, first in the I Am Bane storyline, but the real adventure comes in with the War of Jokes and Riddles, when Batman recounts a war between Riddler and the Joker who has lost his sense of humor. Batman even loses control in this story and decides to kill the Riddler for all the suffering he puts Gotham through. Ironically, it's the Joker who stops him from doing this, and Batman regains himself and the Joker regains his sense of humor. And the Riddler hasn't really shied away from other depictions other than just the comics, as he's appeared in the Batman Arkham video games as well as both animated and live action Batman stories. In animation, he's been in just about every iteration of Batman, but my personal favorite is voiced by John Glover in Batman the Animated Series. And in live action, he's most famously played by Frank Gorshin in the 1960s Adam West Batman series and movie. Jim Carrey played the character in Batman Forever, a movie that is severely underrated, played by Corey Michael Smith in the TV series Gotham, and he'll be getting a new look and updated take in the upcoming Matt Reeves directed film The Batman. and he will be played by Paul Dano across from Robert Pattinson's Batman. Now what makes the Riddler so great is that in a lot of ways he's just like Batman. He has no real powers or abilities, he just loves puzzles and is kinda crazy. He hasn't been altered in any way by chemicals, disfigurement, or otherwise. He's just a crazy genius with deductive reasoning and esoteric knowledge. And just like Batman, he's often depicted to be wealthy to some degree, though whether he came into it legally or not is still up in the air. What he does have, however, is his iconic Riddler cane. It's a cane with a question mark handle that has a variety of devices and weapons inside, such as holograms, security bypasses, and electrical blasts. It's more or less his utility belt that conveniently has the exact thing he needs for any given situation. He's also been seen with a question mark grappling gun and various other weapons like handguns and puzzle-themed items. So those are some of the things you need to know about the Riddler. Did you find anything new in this video that you may not have known otherwise? Let me know down in the comments, as well as leave me a comment as to other future characters you would like to see in this series. I take suggestions all the time, and your suggestion may be the next pick for the next episode of History Of. And while you're down there, be sure to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell notification so you don't miss out on any future content from me or the rest of the AAC team, as we have new content daily, including live streams, various other content from our other creators, and so much more. So make sure you subscribe and ring that bell notification so you don't miss out on any of it. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next video.